Barry Robson was 11 months out of management after his sacking at Aberdeen, but he's back in the dugout at Raith Rovers, bursting with desire and ambition. I'm Derek McGregor, this is One on One. Barry speaks candidly and entertainingly about his so far short managerial career, but very eventful. He also discusses his illustrious playing career for club and country. Barry, 11 months out of management. You're at Raith Rovers now. You get your first win for the club at Falkirk. See, when you're out for so long, does that first win mean even more to you?
I wouldn't say. I just think it's always important to get your first win. I think when you go into your first game, I was there for 2 days. I comes out of the tunnel, I shake Scott Brown's hand, I turn round, goal. So you're 2 goals down within 7 minutes. And it doesn't matter, any management, whatever it is, we've prepared the boys as well as we can. I know I was only there a couple of days, but you prepare everybody as well as you can, and a mistake and then a mistake. The game becomes really difficult then, and then you think to yourself, right, okay, let's rip this up and start again, you know. And in football, that can happen to you. Right. You've had all that time out of the game, and you come in, you've just spent 2 days with their new players and 2 mistakes right away, and then you wish you were back walking the dog again. But I knew it was a really difficult game we were going into. I knew the air got their tails up. I knew all these things. So when the next game come along, I got a whole week's preparation with the players, and it becomes a whole different story after that.
That first game, Bruni, teammate at Celtic, how was it being just across the touchline from him? What was he like? Was he combative? Was he verbal? How was he?
No, he's all right. Listen, we've been mates for years. And when I'd done the first interim at Aberdeen as interim manager, Bruni was with me then as well when he was just away to leave.
Of course.
So we know each other well. And listen, I want all my friends to do well in the game, obviously knowing the game against me. But he's done a good job down there, and I just keep winding him up because he's got a bigger budget than me.
But you go to Falkirk, and it's fair to say you were underdogs. League positions, if only league positions, that was a superb win. When you're so long out as a manager, Barry, is it almost like reassurance that you can still do the job?
I wouldn't say that. I would say that I knew it was going to be a really difficult game there. John McGlynn's been there 2-3 years, and you can see that implement the way he wants to play. He's been continuously doing that for the last few years, and I'm probably at the start of my journey with this team, and it's like you've probably got 4 days training with them, practice with them to try and embed the habits and ideas that you want to put in them. So I knew it was going to be a really difficult game, but I also knew that in football, like what happened the week before, anything can happen. But listen, I thought a game plan was good on the day. Sometimes you can get that wrong, but and the players gave everything. The fans were also brilliant behind the goal, and I thought Falkirk are normally probably 70% possession against teams, but they never did that to us either, which was, you know, I thought we passed the ball quite well at times, we pressed quite well. Really good side, really hard to play against, make the game open, we're a good manager, so it was a game that we enjoyed and we had to fight for, but it gives the players that belief, the mentality where it can take you.
You've said the players gave everything. I mean, I think that's probably an understatement. I saw stats after the game. I think combined the team, was it 150 kilometres the team ran, which is phenomenal. There was guys going down with cramp towards the end. They must be thrilled, your manager.
Listen, probably the one big thing that is in mind, the way I want to be a manager, is you've got to run. Right. You will not play my team, you don't run. Wherever I've been, clubs I've went down, and I was lucky enough to go and see Simone working at Atletico Madrid. I've been lucky enough to go down to Liverpool and see and the first thing they all do is run. That's it, that's a non-negotiable. And I think a lot of people miss that. And then they bring the talent on top of that, they bring the movement, they bring the decision making, the passing, they bring all but the first fundamentals that they want to run. And I was big on that as a player. If I wasn't playing well, I just, as Gordon Strachan used to just say, just run about. Just run about and get the ball back and give it to somebody else having a good game.
That's simple.
But the players know and accept that that will be a real thing that they need to do here if they want to play in the team.
Was it a real shock to their system? You know, I'm not suggesting for a minute they weren't fit enough anyway, but was it for you to implement that? Is that a real wake-up call for the squad? Is that a a real adjustment for them?
I wouldn't say that, because it's not. I think when a manager always comes into a club, or people always say, "Oh, they're not fit enough." It's not that they're not fit enough. Like, different managers have got different types of fitness that they want for players. Some managers like long training sessions. Some managers like short, high intense ones. Doesn't mean any of you are right. It doesn't mean that the players here were worked hard, they were everything like that. I just like to do it a slightly different way. So it's nothing to do with fitness. It's to do with a different, probably, type of fitness that I want.
How do you then, what do you implement to ensure that a team can run 150 kilometres for a game? And now listen,
There was extra time in that as well, remember?
Of course, yeah. Now, you know, I'm asking you, off the top of my head, I'm not actually aware of what an average kilometre distance would be for a team in a game. But 150 kilometres sounds a lot to me. What do you do to make sure they can do that? What's your training setup?
It's I built a model a long time ago when I was in the development squad at Aberdeen. I knew that I didn't want to just turn up and do 5-a-sides, throw on a couple of set plays and go out there and try and just say to the players, come on, you know, that type. I wanted to actually have someone that had a depth, that had a thought, that had a methodology, that's something that I believed in, that I liked. So I went through years of planning it with some people that helped me at the club, and I actually built a model, and I trained and I worked and I made mistakes with young players, and I found out what made them quicker, what made them stronger, what made their habits better. And it was built on building habits in players that I built the model that I work to. And listen, let's hope it brings success. But I know it makes football players better. I know it makes them sharper. So it's a lot hard work went into it. I've probably got a good 50-page document with drones and stuff and all that, and to it's there to look back to see. But it improves and evolves all the time. And it was basically just my experiences of taking younger players through, and how that helps them stay fit, how it helps them make them a bit quicker, and how you develop habits in a game of passing forward or controlling the ball better or counter-pressing, whatever it is. And that's what I worked on for a few years.
How often did the phone ring with offers before you came here?
Never. The phone never rings.
Really?
No, listen, it rings through some of your friends. No, listen, I probably had a few opportunities of coaching.
Coaching?
There was no there was no managerial jobs. There was only one job came up in the whole 11 months in Scotland. Anyway, I think it was a St Johnstone job. It was the only job that came up the whole time I was out.
Did you go for it?
No, I didn't go for it. No, listen, it's a good club and all that, but I never got a phone call or anything about that or for it. There was no jobs really came up, but there was a lot of people obviously knowing that I've coached and I've built some models and things, and probably a lot of people that knew that I was good in the training pitch, or they thought I was good in the training pitch to go and coach, all that. But I still wanted to be a manager, and you can coach till you're old or whatever. You can coach for as long as you want, but management can be a shelf life, and you've got to try and get that right. And if you get it right, you can stay in it a bit longer.
Well, you're only 46, aren't you?
Yeah, I'm still young.
So, do you see yourself being a manager to 60 in your 60s and then maybe take it easier?
Oh, yeah, I would love to. I love the game. As long as you're enjoying it, as long as I'm winning. And that dictates really. But for me, I've got the belief that I can win games of football, with players. And being a manager is a really demanding job. And it's a lot of people say they want to be a manager, but when you actually come into it, it's not as easy as what they actually think it is. It's a difficult job. It's probably not a very healthy job. And you've got to try and keep yourself right in the fitness side of things. But it's a rewarding job if you can get across what you want to do, and players perform the way you want them to perform, and you can see the work that you're doing, and you can see that coming out.
Is it an addictive job, Barry?
Well, football's addictive for me. I missed it when I was out. It probably is an addictive job, I think, as much as you say. The biggest thing I try to do now is go home and switch the computer down. I try and do that now, and I'll try and stick a box set on or something like that, or Especially in the summer nights, I'll get out again for a walk with the dog or whatever, but I try and switch down because you can get lost in it sometimes and then you start overthinking and your head doesn't become clear.
When the Raith opportunity came, how do you see Raith Rovers as a club?
I think a big club with a good history.
I think it's approaching, was it 28 years since they've been in the top flight, I think?
Yeah.
Which is really surprising, to be honest. But,
I think a forward-thinking club. I think the board, I think the way they want to do things is pretty good. I think they want to build for a long-term future. They're trying to build the infrastructure. They're trying to make that better. They're trying to get better revenue to make it better on a squad. They're not a club that's going to go and throw a load of money at this year and then next year things might happen or the club might fall apart. None of that's going to happen. It's pretty structured in behind, and I thought I like that. You're not going to be at a club where they're going to throw a load at it now and then, well, what's going to happen 6 months' time? So that was someone settled that I liked. And good people and want to do it the right way. And I just thought it was someone felt right for me. I liked the people I spoke to when I came down. I liked the club in itself as well.
Look, you're a winner. As a player, you were as fiercely competitive as any player I've ever known, Barry. When you look at Raith in terms of the playoffs, are the playoffs maybe just a bit out of reach now, or have you given up on them?
No, you never give up on anything in life. Never mind football, you never give up on anything. If I'd gave up on anything through my career, I wouldn't have got very far.
Yeah.
Everything was a struggle, and still is. Even you've got to keep going and you've got to keep believing, and if you don't do that, there's no point coming into this side. There's no point being in this game if you've not got that belief that you can make things better.
Are you even more motivated on the back of the sack?
Nope, not at all.
Nothing changes.
Nothing changes. No, I'm not that type of guy. Am I more motivated? No. Am I proud of the work we've done at Aberdeen? Yes. When you look at it in the context of it, it was really good. When you look into the depth of it, but now my whole focus is on trying to help this club and make this club better and bigger and keep it moving forward.
I mean, obviously, being sacked, it suggests failure, but how do you reflect on it? I mean, it was an incredible period at Aberdeen. You know, you crammed so much into it. You've had obviously plenty of time to look back on it. I mean, how do you view it? Is failure too harsh?
It's a hard one, isn't it? I mean, a lot of people will say, you were an Aberdeen manager for a year. You got third place. You got to group stage of Europe for the first time in 18 years. Mm-hmm. You got 6 points in Europe.
Beat Eintracht
Frankfurt with Marmouche, who's away to sign for Man City, and Goetze was a World Cup winner. We got to a cup final. And we sold some players for money. And I think that's not bad for a year. And I think probably the one would be a Derek McInnes would have done that. Well, definitely would have done that, Derek, top manager. But I thought we were back to where Aberdeen should have been in cup finals again, where Derek took us in European competition. And obviously getting third place finish. So I thought we were doing everything that was asked of. I get that the league form was difficult. We really found it hard. We found it hard on the Sunday after the game, and I think everybody's seen that. I think we played 7 out of 8 games away from home, if people remember. So we were still fighting it out in the League Cup because we got to the final. And people forget all them games at Hampden were away from home as well. So your semi-finals are away from home, your finals are... And this is not excuses. I made lots of mistakes as well, don't get me wrong. But by God, when I sat and looked at it with Steve Agnew and we spoke about it and we seen the fixture list and how it came out, we thought, oh my God, this is going to be epic. This is going to be the hard... My staff was knackered. They were like... The players were tired. We were on the road for maybe 4.5, 5 months. It was a great experience, honestly. See the Aberdeen fans away in Europe and all that, it was great. And the cup finals and that, it was brilliant.
Is that the best moments? Is that the ones that you hold on to when you're thinking, you know, I've gave them those occasions? Is that what makes you proud?
Yeah, I think so. and plus I think we signed some good players and we left some good players there for Jimmy to go on and work. I think there was a lot of loans. I think Jim Goodwin signed some really good players as well. But we needed to get to... I was trying to get to we'd signed some good players. Jim had signed a couple of good ones as well, and then I'd signed, and I thought it was like in the next window to top up
I suppose
to go
when you
again.
look at Jimmy Tillman's side just now, Barry, you know, you've got Ross Doon,
Yeah.
who's come in, Nicky Devlin, you've got Sockler, you signed Leighton Clarkson permanently.
Yeah.
You brought Graham Shinney back permanently. Papa Gay,
Yeah.
Jamie McGrath. You know, there's so many good players there.
There is, and that's what I'm saying. There's a good nucleus. It needs added to. It needs help. The team needs help. And obviously that's what Jimmy's doing now. You can see he's signed some good players. I think he signed Tobbers. I think he's signed whoever else he's signed.
Yeah.
It just needed. We just wanted to get to that next phase of, because you can't just build one team in a window, because there was just the one window we had, so we couldn't just build it in one window. We needed a couple, but he did such a good start, Jimmy. But there was a nucleus left sitting there for him to build on.
Did you deserve a sack? I mean, I think you obviously when you took over there was 7th. You then get 7 straight wins, remarkable, 3rd Europe. When they sacked you, they were 8th. I think you'd only had 6 wins. But of course, there's all the circumstances you're talking about, Barry, and that makes me wonder: did you feel being sacked was harsh?
I think
unjust.
I think you can look at the stats, and I think someone said it was the last 15 games or something. We won 5 games in the last 15 or something like that. And you can take stats the way ever you look at it, but if you look at the games we were playing in, we were playing Frankfurt, Pauk, a semi-final away to Hibs at Hampden, a final. We had the Old Firm away from home twice in that. So you're looking at 7 or 8 games that were that you can easily lose. By the way, that we weren't playing. It wasn't just playing Scottish Premier League teams at home. No, they were really hard games. So that made your stats look worse than they were. But listen, I made mistakes. There was lots of things I could have done better. We did lots of things right. Steve Agnew was a great help to me. Could have rotated the team a bit better. I actually thought we planned really well for Europe. We got the European thing right because I had a lot of experience of it. I learnt a good bit of that for Derek McInnes. So I knew all that side of things. The thing that caught us was the Sunday games after the European nights. We were really tired. Teams knew it. They would come after us. They put us under pressure early, and we were trying to get the boys to get up. Maybe should have freshened up the team a bit more. Trusted some of the other players. That's probably got that. I could have been better with that. But listen, what a brilliant club. Like nothing but good people. I got on well with Dave. I got on well with Stephen Gunn, Alan, all the staff. Honestly, that's why when I left Aberdeen, there was never anybody saying bad things or that. They knew that we'd done a good job, and I knew that they'd backed us, and it was always a club that it's held close to my heart. I love the club.
You'd obviously had enough time to reflect. I mean, what other things do you think that you told yourself, I'm going to do that better the next time I'm a manager? So you were looking at it constructively.
I looked at lots of it constructively. I looked at when you go on your pro licence and all the rest of it, and you're thinking to yourself, right, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that, and being a manager throws you lots of different things. So when I was starting to build a new team for going into the European group stages, because they had so many loan players that had to go back, I only had 2 months to get all the players in to build and train and mould into your team. So, but when you're in a transfer window, you can't get them players to near the end of the transfer window. So a lot of these players came in at the end of the transfer window. So I had no coaching time. So to build that identity, to do these things, I had no coaching time on the training pitch. Now, the previous 6 months before that, we got to work with the players every day. And then that happened, and I was like, right, we just have to go game, match prep, rest, game. And what I learnt was, it's never perfect. You're not going to just get to build your team, and you're not going to get to just get a pre-season with them and get them going and get them ready. You need to come in. You need to come in, and you need to. That's it. You're going to have to scramble for players. You're going to have to try and get it done right. But you're going to go into Europe, and you're going to have to go to a cup final, and you're going to have to deal with it, and you're going to have to find a way. And I need to try and find a way. Now, we did really well in Europe, and we did brilliant in the cups. I probably never did well enough finding the form in the league. Do you know what I mean? But that was hard because of the tiredness.
You had the fabulous win over Eintracht Frankfurt. Then you go into a League Cup final against Rangers. And I think it was Aberdeen fans, Barry, that maybe disappointed that there wasn't more of a go at Rangers in the game. There wasn't more kind of attacking pressure. I mean, how did you feel after that game? Was there a kind of any particular regrets apart from not winning, obviously? But how you approached it?
I think if you watch the game back, we set up really well against them. It's all right saying you go and just have an absolute go, and a team like Rangers will just come through you and they'll score 2, 3, 4 goals. They can do it quickly. So can Celtic. I thought we did it. We set up really well, and we did try and have a go in the last 15, 20 minutes. We did have a go to try and I thought there was nothing much in the game, and we just lacked that wee bit of quality at the top end of the pitch, and that was what I seen in the game. Now, if I was going to go and set up again, I would have set up the same way, with the players I had, the players they had, the way the game was. And another day, our top end of the pitch players might have been in a lot more better form.
Yeah.
And you score a goal. Would I go in and just went gung ho now? And no, because you'll just end up losing 3 or 4 goals. You've got to be measured. You've got to take what you've got and where it is at that time.
The thing is, Barry, you've not actually had a full season as a manager, have you? You came in obviously halfway through. Then unfortunately you've got sacked halfway through the next one. So what's happened and what's been achieved in that period of time is quite incredible.
It is, yeah. I think.
I mean,
Steve Agnew, who I took up, was a good friend of mine, and he's been in the English Premiership. He's worked under Steve Bruce. He's been at Newcastle for years, so he's working at the highest level. Great coach, great man, all the rest of it. And when I got sacked, and Steve had come up with that year to help me, and he came on the phone just after we were sacked, and he says, "You know what, Baz?" He says, "I'm in this game." He says, "I've been in the Premier coaching with all that." He says, "What you've just done in a year," he says, "you'll be lucky." He says, "You'll be lucky if any other manager's done that in 8 years." He said, "I'm telling you," and I've been in this game a long, long time. He says, "You had to go through a lot," but I loved it. I enjoyed it. I loved the pressure of the European stuff. I loved the pressure of the finals. I loved the hard bits was when you lose the games. It was, but I never tried to let it get me down. I knew that if we can just get through this, we could just get through. If I just got through the next couple of weeks, we had a run of games coming at the end of Aberdeen where we had 8 games with no Rangers, Celtic, Hearts, Hibs or Hearts. And we had an 8-game run towards the end of the season, and me and Steve were sitting thinking, and the staff were going, right, we get through to that and we go on a run. We go on a little run and try and get us up the table. And that's what was our plan, but we never made it.
Did you have a sense the P45 was coming?
Did
you behind the scenes, did you get any kind of
no,
a sense
not at all. But
pressure, or did you get a warning or anything like
no,
that?
but and for me as a manager, and I've been in the game as a player a long, long time, you know these things are never far around the corner.
You don't need to read the papers.
No,
you don't need to see what pundits are saying.
I don't read the papers. I don't have social media. I don't have any of it. So for me, it can be really negative if you look at that. I think, why would I go and listen to someone saying, it could be a 14-year-old boy in his bedroom writing something about me, so why would I go and get upset and read that? Or why would I? It's madness how people. I find it mind-boggling why you would go and read all that stuff. I'm probably a bit old-fashioned and too long in the tooth for all that, but I've seen it all, I've heard it all. I've been booed for my own fans, I've been booed for the opposition fans, I've been coined, I've been abused on the street, I've seen it all. It makes no difference, the social media thing for me, and I just wish other people wouldn't get so caught up in it.
Was Dave Cormack in the country when he sacked you? Or
no, Dave was away, he was away.
So what was it, a Zoom call? Was it a phone call?
I spoke to Dave on the phone, I spoke to Alan and Gunnar, and I spoke to Dave, but I have no problems with Dave. Got on really well with Dave. He messaged me now when we got this job. Stephen Gunn, get on great with Stephen, he's a brilliant guy. Alan came in as well. I have no problems with any of them. I know the way football works. That doesn't, I'm not going to go and get upset about that. For me, okay, it was a brilliant challenge. I got to go and manage in Europe. I've managed the group stage of Europe now. What other manager's done that? Like, I've managed a cup finals. A lot of managers are never going to manage in a cup final. Aberdeen gave me an opportunity. Do I wish they'd kept it and stayed longer? I think yes. And I think if they gave the time, it would have been really good. But that's football.
Derek McInnes brought you to Aberdeen. I mean, how big an influence would you say Derek has been for you, Barry? As a manager now, but as a coach as well.
I think I've known a lot of people, but he's probably has been the biggest influence, especially on my coaching journey or becoming a manager. My first 2 years when I retired, I just went and sat behind him and Tony Dock and took little passing drills and things like that. And then I said to him, look, I need to take my own team. I want to manage my own team. And he said, right, okay. This is typical Derek. He says, right, okay, you can go and take under 18s and you can run them, but you need to do the first team games as well. So I was working 7 days a week.
You said he took advantage of you.
You did take advantage of me. But he was brilliant. He was, and by the way, he'd test me. He'd test me. I remember times when he came in and he was asking me, what was the set plays, who was picking such and such up there, what system did they play with, and he would just test me, and sometimes if I hadn't done the homework, which had happened a few times if I'd been looking at something else and I didn't know, it was just the silence, and I thought, because he knew everything. I mean, knows everything. And you speak about a player, he knows everything, and I'm like, so anytime he's asking a question. So he'd put you under pressure like that. But he was good for me. He gave me opportunities to express myself. We were pretty close in all our trips. We went away to Dubai. We was at these European trips with Derek and Tony and that. They were brilliant, and just listening to him, how he spoke at half time, how did he address players. He's a top manager, and I've worked with some top managers. He's right up there, by the way.
How disappointed were you when you left Aberdeen?
I was disappointed. Was it the right time? I'm not sure it was. I think a lot of people think it is. I'm not sure. I think Derek's one of them who he could have done the 12, 13, 14, 15 year one. I think he's that type. I think the fans always want something different. They always want change. But what they forget, that year that Derek left, that's probably some of the best football Aberdeen was playing in a long time.
Yeah.
And I think we were still third or something in the league. But I think, well, for whatever reason, I don't know. Maybe it was the right time for Derek or whatever. But I was a bit surprised because he's a top manager.
Future Scotland manager, do you think, Barry?
Easily he could be. Yeah. No problem. Listen, Steve Clarke's been outstanding.
Yeah.
The job that Steve Clarke has done has been brilliant for Scotland, and I don't think he gets the credit he deserves, but he's been brilliant. And I'll tell you, I'm not picking Scotland managers or anything like that, but I'll tell you what,
one day you would...
Derek McInnes would be a very good Scotland manager, definitely.
When I look at the managers that have influenced you, Barry, I mean, obviously Walter Smith at Rangers, I mean, you're you a teenager? You've had Gordon Strachan signed you twice, you've Craig Levein, you've had Tony Mowbray, Derek, as we're just touching upon. I mean, when you think of guys like Walter and Gordon, what kind of impressions did they make with you? What did they say to you that has stuck with you ever since?
I think like the Walter Smith one's a bit different because I wasn't a first team player, I was just a young kid, me and Barry Ferguson, but we worked in the staff room, so he was like, it was more Archie that was giving us abuse. But Walter he was just sitting there, he wouldn't say nothing, he was just laughing, Archie winding us up, So I never really I knew him, and I was lucky enough to be in the same room as him, but I never had team talks from him or things like that.
What did you have to bring tea and toast then?
Yeah, I had to bring a tea and toast. Me and Fergie, me and Barry Ferguson, the tea and toast every morning for Archie and that, and we had to clean their boots.
And Walter.
Yeah. Had to fold up their kit, get it all sitting out nice, and so that's where I knew Walter from, and it was what a learning experience, Archie Knox, I tell you. But listen, the way Archie was, he was so hard on you, but I loved it. I thought he was funny. He'd work you hard.
Did you curse him then? But now you look back on the road and you realise it was for a reason.
Yeah, it was for a reason, and it was good that. And then you get people like Gordon Strachan. I was lucky enough. I thought he was a real proper, brilliant coach as well as a manager. Demanding, all these things. I was lucky to work with Tony Mowbray. He was a really good manager as well, different type to a Gordon Strachan, but really good manager as well.
Steve Patterson, Pelly. Is it fair to say that Steve, as a manager, saved your career, rescued your career?
Yes,
Overestimating it, or is that?
I just think Steve Patterson had no matter what you say about him, he'd a gift of signing good players, and he knew, he'd just a way about him. He had a way about him that he could make a team perform. I'm not saying he was like, if you think of the tactical things that I sit and go through every day, and I've got screens everywhere, and I'm this and I'm that, and I'm trying to fix it.
Was it? That
I was trying to fix him, trying to fix the world.
Aye.
He
was man management.
Yeah, and he was. And listen, he could fly off a handle as well, by the way.
I've loved some of the past conversations with Steve where you used to torment him, didn't you? You used to nutmeg him in training and all that. Did you not try to break your legs at some point? You wee so-and-so.
But he was, at the time, because you could hardly play because his back, he had a battered back injury, but he had this great gift of finding players, you know, unearthing gems. Aye. You know, he got holds of Dennis Winus and Marcel's and Bobby Manns, and you imagine what a team it was in the end, you know, for that division in time.
Aye.
And he was just unearthing him, picking him for places, you know. But no, he was a good man. That's what I liked about him most. He was a good man.
Always grateful to him.
Always a top. He's brilliant for me. I couldn't speak highly enough of him. And by the way, that's taking a team all the way through the Highland League, all the way to the Championship, and then to become an Aberdeen manager as well.
Yeah.
People forget about that.
He would never have thought for a second you'd follow him one day.
No, probably not. No.
Those days when you were nutmegging him and taking the mick out and tormenting him, you know.
No, it just shows you, doesn't it? It just shows you. You never know what's for you. But I always knew I would go into coaching. I always knew I would go into this side of the game because I do love it.